By Tubarão. We'll talk about these bans probably in a second and the sort of spread of things onto club. But one of the sort of conversations that has apparently gone on behind the scenes around G2, especially when they sort of brought in Uno, was to get themselves re-leveled on defaults. Bring them their approach, a bit of a panic shot. And the unfun fact is NIP, both majors they've been at, they've lost their opening game. They struggle to get into tournaments. They've struggled to get into the first round of this so far, and it's a much longer series. A best of 3 they'll be playing through. We have a lot of siege in this showdown ahead of us, but G2, they're making sure they're just as uncomfortable here on their home territory as they've been in NA and in EU. Yeah. Forced out by the smoke, Muzi pushes up the main brick stairs, trying to get the angle and the swing on the player. They don't know he's here. There's so much noise. There's the win on the fight, though. Virtue doing all he can. Cons keeps the double up. There's a low health onto the mirror. Minute 10 again. Still loads of time here as Benja bites back across the door.
Have some important rotations though, but the fire now is going to be stopping Benja from stopping this plant from happening as Cons is getting himself in behind the weight. Is there a rotation downstairs? Yes, there is. Virtue with the C4. The drop comes through. The diffuser's now on the bottom floor though, and that means if Benja can hold on to the main stairs with Pino being down in this 1v1 situation, G2 might still turn it around. Flashbangs are coming through. Cons knows around his position, but he's not able to connect the shots.
Boy wonder Benja was the driving force behind them winning their last SI, and here he is opening up the round with some huge play against Cons, who's fighting in his first ever SI2. Over the sides! And it's Benja that gets the double and the lockout. Shot at him right now.
I mean, there's also like a heart breach, right? So they really just have to go for this as he jumps down. Again, a bit of an over-aggressive play from G2 after they were man down, losing it again. And yes, fire was coming down.
Yeah, I don't think he had a choice.
But it's like you still have so many panels to hide behind. It's like jumping down is basically a guaranteed death at that point.
I think he was sort of like, I can die this way, or I can die this way. But this way I might get a kill. It's throwing yourself out a back window. There's Uno. Oh, if he had stayed crouched, he might have been able to get himself out of there. A very, very quick take back, but look at the time. They have a big man advantage, but there's still 2 players to get rid of inside. Doki is the solace. If they get underneath, there's a lot of soft there. There's the first fight. It goes into the favor of Alamau. 2 versus 3, 15 seconds. The Echo drone is quick swap to it. Wizard into the default plant spot with Doki getting one more. He's underneath, rotating his way up towards the top of red. They're going to swing this together, the 2 versus 2. As they get back up, but now it's a 2 versus 1. There's the swing from Doki!
Not quite sure if they have explosives ready and just waiting. He's going to be striking any moment right now. It's just a question of time as Wizard gets a little bit of damage on Virtue. Doki finds Wizard still up above as Alamau gets a C4 kill onto Psycho. Cons now on the hunt. Will find Doki, so no flawless round for G2.
I mean, Cons has been that sort of force player for the team right now. He's one of only 3 to actually get kills across it. Goes for the drop. Not many bullets in the Type 89. Enough to take the head off of a second player, but at this point it's just padding stats on the
Dream will be relying on to try and find this round. Pino playing on highways, trying to find himself with a pick on someone that's on the site that's kind of dislocated themselves, but G2's not really moving, and Psycho walks into a crossfire right now. That's a shield gone, and I believe that might be the diffuser dropped as well as Doki finds Cons. Only Pino and Muzi left now to try and salvage this round. Make that only Muzi. He finds himself outside. He's holding the stairs rotation, hasn't found any success so far. 30 seconds, might just let that run out. Use this as another timeout.
What had G2 prepared on Clubhouse? Why have G2 hidden this map from any international major tournament for as long as they have? I mean, they are sort of demonstrating a great performance here against NIP. This is the one team, as I said before, NIP hadn't fought against throughout the group stages, throughout the majors this year. The one team that, to be fair, they haven't played technically as an org versus a trying to get into position to watch and swing, but it was too quick for them. They weren't ready to maybe try and take a bite, take a bit of advantage, because if you see a mirror window on that wall, you know what's going to happen.
Alamau's 6 senses just started tingling there. He's like, I am being watched. Turns around and there's a drone just sitting there. Pino drops in hot though.
Wizard.
The logistics.
Down on the back end, just outside the window itself. They can't quite get in a position to secure it. But Alamau now on the swing round right into Muzi's gunfire. Tricky situation to be in there for Alamau. He wanted to see if he could maybe get a punish on a sprinted player, but he held the angle a little bit longer. There's the end of Wizard. Benjamaster gets the finish on the player. 3 versus 3, just over a minute left here. You can hear Echo drones no longer usable, but whirring behind. Uno still with the C4 and some control on towards Garage. Again, vertical play. It is a big component of this. We know the default plant spots. And now, as you can see, that just trying to find their first lead in here. Pino, he's getting the close wall open. Muzi might go for the rotate as the Kiba barricade. Yep, there it is. Gets the construction back on the window.
Now, Uno in a very important spot here with that mirror window. They just try to take it out with the Exkyros. Pino, quick jump in, quick back out again. But those Exkyros have been taken care of. And as long as Virtue plays below, there's also no pressure coming in from the red stairs. So that is definitely something they're trying to do. But Virtue gets taken down. And now an advantage here for NIP. They're trying to take out the actual staircase player here. C4 comes in. Will actually get the kill before the gunfight comes through. Muzi up to the garage stairs as Pino will find the kill into red.
Pino gets onto Uno. Muzi has gone down. It's a 1 versus 1. And Benja's been in this situation before. How did it end? With a Benja round. How did it end? With a Benja round. First body gone, and I guess maybe I gave too much credit towards the idea of knowing where they were, but look at Benja. He's about to come down these main stairs, and Wizard goes down because of it. They didn't quite have the camera on the watch. There's the fight all the way. It's a hell of an angle, double down, and Benja, I said he had a huge performance at a previous SI. He's feeling a little bit supersonic. The 2 drop, caught out and rocked. There's not much Benja can do at this point to battle against it. Alamao's about to be rounded upon on the back end of CC. He's watching for this though and wins out the fight against Pino on the 2nd story. Benja's still holding onto the main stairs itself, doubles down. A 2 versus 2. However, all of the structure of site is still in place. They're going for the pick-up sticks and rotate round.
They know the diffuser is down in dirt. They need to try and find cons and maybe get like a 2nd player on it. So what we could see is maybe one pushing in from blue, holding the walkout there, and Alamao, as he drones himself, needs to get off quickly. He's both on 1 HP right now. A single shot is enough to kill either of them. The flashbang comes in and the rotate out as well from Cons, who drops eventually, and that means the diffuser can now be recovered by the side of G2 with Benja now being able to support on Psycho as well.
Psycho needs to hold on here. A huge historied player caught and blinded in the middle, gets Benja and pops round to see if he can try and get Alamao down. As you said, a sliver of health. 30 seconds, all the pings are coming through. The blind as well. They hit the rotate just in time and get themselves off towards the side of blue. Alamao, he's going to see if he can stick it behind the bomb chassis. He might not know about the rotate. There it is. The swing of the impact. He's not seen him slip through on towards blue. Oh, maybe he's just got the read spraying against everything and hoping for the catch. There's the ping on the player. There's Alamao trying to get it on the back of the hot. He baits the plant, but it is Psycho! Got to rotate as well, and this is just to sort of hold them at bay. They could fall in down to the right-hand side. The drone at the bottom, the pressure on the shield. They're watching now for the rotate. The buck over the top, the spray through. The pressure's going to come up the stairs as well, but it's an awkward fight to take. They're sort of hoping they can just get that shut down. They duck as Pino's able to get Doki in the split. Virtue's swinging in the corner and gets the Kaid, but doesn't quite get the Backo. It's back and forth, though. A little bit crazy. A 2 versus 2, technically. Pino is in a very dangerous position, so they're not going to be able to get him picked up in time. But once again, with just around a minute left here, you've got a 2 versus 2.
And G2 definitely got the better of that because they had the initial loss as well. So they were down on numbers. They've managed to bring it back to a 2-2. Of course, you'd like to have the advantage, but it's not always going to be possible. And what they need to do now is just try and isolate one of these players. Try and take the fight together so they can push in right afterwards and that final one overwhelm them.
We find ourselves in this interesting situation where you've got the 2 sort of IGL voices of G2. Obviously, Alamao taking the lead in the push and Uno going for that sort of cool-headed clarity versus the 2 new guns of NIP, the 2 that have sort of come into their first SI here and getting themselves onto the pressure alongside these champions. And they're going to see if they can try and keep the flag waving and keep the pressure onto Club. There's the drop of Alamao on the back end. He gets caught out by the Goon Mine. There's Uno trying to put the pressure onto the windows at the same time. Cannot quite get the lockdown. It's suddenly a 2 versus 1 with not a huge amount of time here. It might just have been a little bit too much structure. The Legion, who is in a very good place in the meta, in their power and their abilities, causing all sorts of problems. NIP second round.
Together with the opposite player as well, together with the Bees. So there's a lot of zoning that we see right now on G2 that might actually allow them to take this fight. This Wizard just burns to death, and that means there's only a single player up right now. The Bees come in again. Now they will know about Muzi being on the rafters as well, and it's being forced off as Pino drops by Alamau.
Alamau gets Pino, and as I said, this is a setup that you're going to take these rafters on, and this is a rafters take if I've seen them 2 bodies, but we have seen teams have a 5 versus 3 and lose it before. There's the scrap and the blind, the bite right on to the second story, Cons and Psycho. Only 2 bodies left remaining, and Psycho is feeling a little bit frisky here for the close-range firefight. Do they know about his position? They don't seem to have the immediate read, but now they sure do. The spray from the 2 stories, 56 seconds. He just wants to get the lead in, but Virtue has the back end. Cons with a C4 in pocket. And a great SMG in front of him. He's looking to just to hold them off for as long as he can. Find a single fight as the Beast scream up the back end of red. Uno gets it. Virtue gets it. And G2, a little bit of a shake at the second. Moment.
Now, Fenrir is being taken out of G2 again. Does this mean we're seeing the Tubby to be removed from NIP? We saw it last time. Yeah, there we go.
Tubby?
Again. Yeah, Tubby. Some people call him them. Yeah, call him that.
Tubby?
Tubby around. Yeah, Tubby. Defensive teams. Question is, will NIP play the same like that, or are they more fluid? Because we already see quite some pressure coming through the start with Candela's coming up right as Doki moves right through the actual barbed wire.
Oh, looks for the fight and wins it. Covered by the audio. Benja's able to get one, and as I said, it's going to be short, start, and sharp and sweet. They break their through into their way right into the site itself. Alamau's going to go for the plant behind the hard wall. They have control of the site itself. I said the standard take is on the back end. That's what they were prepared to try and defend against. But here, a post plant. They've got control of the windows of the site. They've got a Blackbeard to put on a window as well. And I mean, this has really been a smash and grab take. Alamau gets the lockdown with, as I said, the Blackbeard in that role. Pino has to try and rotate up a stair set and make all the noise in the world because they left the barbed wire solid here for Cons. And as I said, the sweep across, they're not quite able to get the first catch until Doki finds it from that vertical.
Yeah, to keep a barrier allowed Wizard to stay alive a little bit longer as the C4 gets tossed out, not really exploded. Now they'll start to move through. They know about 2 players being out here. Cons gets down from below, and really G2 is just completely annihilating any given single bit from NIP, as it's only up to Muzi now. And he's trying to retake in a part that's not even close towards the site. As soon as they realize site's clear, G2's just going to be exerting themselves, or maybe even now because Muzi just made himself known.
I mean, Alamau has the kit in sight once again. I mean, you're in a 1 versus 3 post plant, and they have a Monty. 1 versus 2 post plant. They still have a Monty. That's going to be the big sort of shake. And as I said, this is a hefty map to go for rotates. There's not too many sort of freewheeling options. It looks a little bit short on paper. And the drop down to try and take the buck first is the very clever read. Muzi, a hugely intelligent player here, knows exactly where to sort of put the pressure on. He's been in this situation plenty of times. He's playing against the Monty that's taking it out, and there's that intelligence. But there's also 18 seconds. He's got to force the fight here, but it's Virtue. Note as well, as I break my way through and they break across, it's taken a minute to get to this point. The site is obviously down below. They're just steadily clearing as much as they can. They're about to maybe be swung on. No, they pulled away from gold, and Doki, he was so concerned about the pressure being put on them because he knows that's how they lost someone in the round before. Pino, not too far away from the fight. Cons even closer. Does he know about Doki? No, is the answer. He's able to get himself a second victory. There's the fight right back through the door, though. Muzi leading an important charge here and making sure that he can grab the reins of NIP and saying it's not over until it's over. There, Pino in this 1 versus 4 situation gets the first, cannot get the next. That is sort of the default, and it's being locked down. Virtue does find the fight against it. Doki ready to roll and blind onto the player that's just tucked behind the Kiba. There's the swing round onto 1. They can't quite get it. Ring around the rosies, finally finds the end. There's 1 more player tucked just towards the back of the bar. Uno's watching for the rotate out. They want to try and force the arm onto Pino. He's not blinded, and Psycho's there for support. Swings on the fancy trophy armor. And Uno has left a little bit watching and waiting with hands. He's hoping the player drifts in, but they are fully aware that this is the cutoff catch.
Everybody's offside again. There's no one offside. I mean, it's that the diffuser dropped outside after they got that first kill, but it's like Virtue's just chilling inside there. He's like, do I go down Are you going to pick up the diffuser, or should I go grab it, or are we going for kills instead? Because right now, everybody's just on the opposite side of the map. And no one is thinking about coming back either right now.
Look, they're concerned about Valkyrie cameras.
Of course they would be.
She's on the board. As you sort of said, they're trying to piece it together. Now, the setup that we can sort of see from the top here is they're holding onto drum. They're holding onto the long watch. There's the rotate, the foot angle that goes around the back of the drum all the way through towards the terrace on the back end. They had the watch. There's Wizard spraying through on the soft. They had the read on the player, probably audio, which leaves Virtue in this clutch situation. Battling either side of the bomb chassis. There's the 1 versus 1. Fires towards the second. They've rotated their way towards the back end of Geisha and Makeup. How aware of it is Virtue? He is a huge power player. He's against Wizard in this fight. He baits the motion. It's a hard wall. He's going to go for the rotate round onto the soft either side. The swing and the ping, but he cannot get it. Wizard! But Benja, at this range, at this pace, will get the audio, but the pressure could come from the back of terrace onto the swing. It's Cons. It gets rid of Virtue, gets rid of the watch before. Wizards behind the Kiba. There's Pino getting one more, and look at this crossfire. Absolutely gorgeous from NIP. All of them had a different 1 versus 1 that they were synced up and ready for in an intricate network. As soon as the first was pulled, suddenly all of them were in a position to swing onto the second and the third. Beautiful read on that defense.
Yeah, for sure, but it was not just like 1v1s in separate positions, but also being ready to support one another.
Oh, it was
you saw it there on the run out. You see one in terrace, you see one right next to the bar, one gets shot, the other one swings, and that way you can actually find yourself in the advantage in most of those situations. So it looks like we might actually head towards a flawless round here from the side of NIP. As there comes the repel. Uno, not able to get the kill quite yet in the first attempt. He's going down to about 1 HP. And runouts might soon follow as well by the side of NIP.
I mean, there it is, a flawless.
Now.
Yeah, I think Muzi, if that went right by him, would still stand.
Lay underneath the trap.
Talking of cool and connected, Venja, not caught, is actually the C word that gets him there. There's the swing over the top. Virtue does find Psycho in a different engagement as Wizard is slowly forced further and further out of Geisha. He has a bit of a rotate, and Muzi has the support, and Pino as well. Valimar getting a pistol kill. He takes control of Sushi Bar, but he's caught in the middle. And there's a lot of different angles and places he can be swung on here as he finds out. Wins the first fight, though. The close engagement goes into his favor. Has a lot of time, but he's still in a very dangerous position. He needs support. He needs a way to get closer towards Uno, which he's found with a little bit of a do-or-die hop.
Yeah, I mean, there is that verticality that you still have to worry about, right? And that is what Wizard was looking to play. Now finds himself closer towards the actual staircase as Alamau is looking to find himself a way towards the actual bomb site. Still hopping around, though. Not quite sure where it's actually going to be safe to move as Uno gets taken down, rather, by Muzi from above. And again, that verticality is that true danger out here. And Alamau, well, as soon as he starts planting, he's just going to get shot. So he needs to try and find one of them so he can isolate the angles.
I mean, here it is, the 1 versus 2. They have the full vertical control. They're more than close enough to swing onto this engagement as well. There is nowhere that is safe, and he is well aware of it. There's the play on the plant. There's the hope and the hold. Cannot win the engagement, and what is being sort of taken away. Here's the other option. They've rotated around. Virtue's caught on a drone, but he's happy to play against it for a little bit. There's the lockdown. Wizard finally makes some motion. However, 20 seconds has passed. Precious time. They can finally start opening up and forcing Benja out. The plant still has to go down. The kit still has to go down. They've lost his position before, and it's getting kind of dangerous, kind of dicey here with 30 seconds left.
Still really no control coming through from the side of NIP. They have the bottom floor, but what does that give you? Well, a lot of verticalities you have to worry about currently as Doki is putting down some shots, and it looks like they might want to go from the exhibition wall as well, but it's being held off by Benja right now, playing right behind that bomb chassis. A jump in from Samurai as well must be the saving grace for the side of NIP, but Benja's out there. We'll find the very first spots a player onto the wall as well, which he does take down. Eno with a team kill onto Doki. Makes it very chaotic in these last 3 seconds.
I mean, even with all of the take and all of the pressure underneath, The fact that
come through, there's some smokes, some flashbangs, some bees, whatever you can imagine is coming through, and Con's now needing to push through. A player prone on the black stairs gets taken down from 2 different directions. A lot of damage onto Psycho as Pino takes down Virtue as well. It seems like NIP have a really good opportunity to get a quick plan done here, and no one from G2 currently in a position where they can find a response, where they can take down Set Diffuser Carrier.
I mean, brilliant drive there. As I said, they sort of went full pressure onto the top, and there's Doki getting 1.5 onto Muzi, but saved as Con slides their way through. They suffer the spray on the back, but they can get the revive, and that is the important part of this. Uno does suffer in a different engagement. There's obviously still more than enough players to go for the fight, but it gives Benja a second to step their way in. Holding onto black stairs, holding onto the swing. The Blitz suffers a shoulder of damage, but he cannot sit around, because if he does, he will be locked out and locked down. Uno, he's got the crossed angle, he's got the watch. They have a little bit of attention, but as the blinds come through, they're just going to see if they can try and drone out. 50 seconds, and as I said, 15 seconds was the difference before. When you got 50, they have more than enough to get the lockout. Benja in the 1 versus 4 post-plant finally gets a bite onto the back end and stops some of the bleeding, but when you've got a Blitz, they've got window control, they've got underneath. I mean, this is one of those unwinnable situations I talked about before. They've still got shields to watch as well. The utility was left up on the purpose of this and the purpose. But at 6 Invite 2023, if we want to get the full stretch, because not a huge amount of teams were at the live stages. I think they'd...
No, FaZe got knocked out in lower bracket round 1.
Oh, talking about knocked out, there's another team kill. That is a little bit of a shame, but I mean, to be honest, maybe that's just a, hey, G2 will give you a freebie at this point. Benja and Doki both gone as well. You do lose Muzi on this approach. However, with how things have gone so far, with Psycho going for the quick pace, the Candela's on the back of it, the zip inside doesn't quite net Psycho the rest of it, and with the C4 and Virtue, suddenly, the tide has shifted. The round was in a good bit of control from the quick pacey play of NIP and the quick take, and with Virtue just drifting on by, Cons is left with the kit in pocket, with the gun in hands, but not much else other than a lot of time here in the 1 versus 3.
There's a big difference in how NIP approached this round in the attack compared to how G2 did. G2 wanted to go horizontal, wanted to take that site under control, whereas NIP really focused on getting the top floor. Not that it seems to be working out too much here. Gonna die by the goo mine eventually. The camera does get destroyed, and that will alert players like Doki, like Alamau, who were playing on this side of the map, that there is indeed trouble coming.
Well, there's trouble, and his name is Doki, and he's able to take care of Psycho. They've lost the IQ, sort of reminiscent of how Doki dropped the IQ of Psycho ages ago. Now they've lost the line as well, and there goes the Ying, and everything is sort of falling apart. As I said, this is exactly the take that they wanted to do. Unfortunately for them, this is exactly the take G2 has set up to rebuff. Swung straight in to a lot of players, ready for the engagements here. And, well, with Muzi and Wizard able to get 1 apiece, they're trying to put the chase onto the fight itself. The flash is just to force the player back towards Drum. This is the other second story. Alamau can pull it back towards these other choke points and keep the man advantage, which they do.
I think Doki went a bit too aggressive there, maybe around those boxes, right? You missed the first opportunity for the gunfight, leans back in, gets taken out afterwards, you lose Virtue. Suddenly that 5v2 you were in turns into a 3v2. And, you know, there was no pressure even on the side at that point, so you could have just fallen back. If this turns around, that's the moment where it goes wrong. We don't know if that's the case, but that's the moment you would be looking at that point.
Attackers have recovered their
as
diffuser.
Benja is setting himself up on the next choke point, it is Dragon that is slowly but steadily being taken under control by Muzi. He's cutting off the angles with those air jabs to make sure no one's going to be leading back into that room from the defense.
The huge part of this is you have the 2 players on NIP that are between them 23 kills. They have been huge on this map so far, and Muzi is seeing if he can add a couple more. There's the first. A great take, but he doesn't know about the player on VIP stairs, and he gets caught out. Almost got the catch. It's Alamau with the lockdown of 2 versus 1. 15 seconds here for Wizard to try and make some magic happen once again, but it's the Chief. But if things go wrong, if bodies start to fall apart, suddenly it becomes much more reliant on players like Muzi to do things like that. Filthy take across the vertical. Wizard finds Doki as well, and with Alamau getting it even, you feel like Muzi might be about to find the back of this player. He has no idea And there is a ring around the rosies with a violent end.
And happy to bring it back into their own favor, even though the opening kill was against them. Still some verticality, and Muzi gets taken down as well, so we're back in a 2-on-2. You might wonder, where are those last two players? All the way on the other side of the map. A minute 10 left on the clock. The fight was taking place all around the objective, but Wizard and Cons, they find themselves around the house area, moving their drones into position to find the information to go for an execute.
Last time we had these two players as the last two alive versus, I think it might have been exactly the same two players. No, it was Alamau and Uno in Clubhouse. NIP, Wizard and Cons were able to win it out. Yes, they're on the sort of pressure position. It was a very different angled game, but here the pressure is still hot. You are still 1 round away. Can they try and double down, get themselves a little bit more of that momentum as the new blood, the fresh players onto this team, some of the only ones that aren't holding hammers previously in this lobby. 30 seconds left. And they're slowly just picking their way apart here from the back of drum. Gold is going to get opened up. They just want to sort of tuck in, but the C4 tucks them right back out. And Wizard, a huge map, a huge game so far, pushes the blind, dives right up, but it's a crossfire from G2. It's a 2-0 from G2, and you're